Hey everyone, it's Ellis, and this is going to be the patch 9.23 notes rundown. It looks like it is an absolute massive patch, and so we're going to have to just get right into it. This might be a long video, scuffed as always. So, end of the season rewards, all rank rewards, icon border skin, and chroma will be distributed during 9.23. Obviously, that's nice. Elemental Rifts. This preseason, we're adding more game-to-game variety and opportunities for mastery to Summoner's Rift. After the second elemental dragon of the game dies, the map will permanently transform into one of 4 elemental rifts, each with unique terrain changes that'll alter the way you take on teamfights, rotations, vision, and objective control. Elemental rifts don't favor a specific team, so games are still in players' hands regardless of which one takes shape. Well, that's just not entirely true, right? We also wanted to ensure the rift feels intuitive even in your first game, so they don't introduce any new mechanics, and terrain changes always occur in the same areas no matter which element spawns. Okay. After the second elemental drake dies and the third is announced, okay, rift element, same as the element of the third drake. Once the map transforms, all future elemental drake spawns will be of that element only, okay? Always occur in the 4 jungle quadrant centered around the buff camps as well as the dragon pit, okay. Mountain Rift. Extra tight spaces give opponents give opportunities for big AoE wombos and create some interesting new hiding spots with Fog of War. Jungle, 2 new bluffs of rock emerge in each jungle quadrant. A rock formation rises in front of the dragon pit. Alright. Okay. And then this one. I'm assuming that this can be interacted with and that these can still be moved around. So obviously this is buffs to certain junglers that can actually utilize this terrain. Or just junglers, I guess, that have a little bit of danger getting invaded or something. But okay. I mean, it's not massive. This isn't something that's like... This actually feels like plants to me, where plants are somewhat important in today's game, and I feel like maybe there's going to be some people that hate stuff like this, but overall I think most people came to like plants, and so I think everything is going to be fine there. Infernal. New paths make opportunity for a quick flank or sidestep that your opponent isn't expecting. Okay, so let's take a look. Oh, this is wide open. Okay, well, that's definitely big. Infernal, feels like Infernal's actually more favorable to the team that's defending in this area. They have more wiggle room. But I guess in some instances it could end up being disadvantageous if like you're trying to turtle these areas right here. And then obviously the opponents have more wiggle room to kite through if they're chasing you through your own jungle or something. But again, it's not that sizable of a change. Now let's just take a look at Ocean and what it does. So, okay, brushes are added. Now, obviously, this to me stands out as the most important dragon change, because this is actually something that impacts wards. It actually impacts fights in a much more consistent way than just simply terrain being altered. Obviously, for certain champions, Mountain Dragon could play a part, especially with something like this. And obviously, I'm just thinking of something like Poppy or Ornn or something like that. But the Ocean, having all these wards, this impacts every single champion. This impacts a lot of fights. It impacts vision. It means that you can just have an edge that can't really be interacted with the same way that the other dragons can be interacted with in terms of what they do for the terrain. So far, Ocean is definitely looking like the best. Cloud Dragon, what is that? Air currents flow through the area around blue and red buff, granting speed boosts to everyone inside. Dragon Petals becomes a speed-boosting wind tunnel. Okay, so obviously, for defenders, this is going to be really big. Helps you with, I'm assuming, dodging skill shots, and also just dancing for positioning. So, much like Cloud Dragon, I guess it's really interesting. So, Riot just made Ocean and Cloud a little bit better, maybe, like, on the surface anyway, from what they used to be considered in the past, because Ocean Dragon and Cloud Dragon are were pretty bad. I've yet to know what exactly might be changing with the dragons totally, but obviously on the surface level, these changes to Summoner's Rift, it does look like Cloud and Ocean are the best, and I would probably say that from top down it goes Ocean, Cloud, Mountain, Infernal in terms of what dragons are better for altering the map. Side lane alcoves. We're adding 2 new lane alcoves to the Rift, 1 in each side lane. We don't expect laning to fundamentally change. This is really great. What Riot's doing here is they're actually giving a shout out to the players that open and go AFK. I'm sure that you're going to be able to find them here in many of your games. This is going to end up becoming their humble abode. This is like their own personal Pokemon camp where you're going to be able to locate them when you've wondered where they started going AFK. So this is actually going to be their camp spot. What a fantastic idea. Rather than fixing them and removing them from the ladder, Riot actually granted them their own personal land. Absolutely fantastic. All right, River Entrance Brush. New brush patches near the blue buff ramps into River. Add new strategic and tactical options as teams approach and contest. Okay. Again, this kind of feels like plants, where there's definitely going to be instances where this can be important. I guess one of the things that this could end up doing is on early game invades, if you end up getting here late because your bot lane is AFK or something, and then you walk over to here, I guess it could become a little bit problematic if you have to go and check the brush or something, if you're worried about getting late invaded or something. Obviously, that's very, very cheesy, and it's probably a very, very rare spot that a team would ever find themselves in, but for the most part, I think these are both, again, completely fine. I actually really like them. It just adds a little bit more diversity into some spots in the game. Elemental Drakes, Dragon Souls. Dragon Souls are a new endgame payoff for the team who wins the Elemental Drake game. A powerful reward that's similar to an epic objective. Dragon Souls don't offer the same moment-to-moment strength as Baron or Elder buff, but they're permanent and add an additional bonus on top of the Drake stacks their bearer already earned. The first team to slay 4 Elemental Drakes gains a Dragon Soul, matching the Elemental Rift. Okay, exclusivity. Elder Dragon begins spawning after one team gains a Dragon Soul, meaning only one team can have it. Okay. Like Elemental Drake buffs, Dragon Souls are permanent and persist through death, okay? Infernal Soul. Every 3 seconds, your next damage attack or ability on an enemy unit triggers a small explosion. What? Okay. Mountain Soul. After not taking damage for 5 seconds, gain a shield for 225 plus 0.2 bonus attack damage plus 0.15 ability power plus 0.15 bonus health. Wow, okay. Ocean Soul. Dealing damage to enemies heals you for 180 plus 0.4 bonus attack damage plus 0.25 ability power plus 0.1 bonus health and restores 90 plus 0.04 maximum mana over 3 seconds. Damage to minions or monsters regenerates with 30% effectiveness. Okay. Cloud Soul. Passively gain 10% increased movement speed. After casting your ultimate, gain an additional 30% movement speed for 3 seconds. Wow, that's very big. That is really, really, really big. The 10% and then casting the ultimate, you get such a massive speed boost. So, obviously, there's a lot of champions that get a lot of benefits from these dragons. And overall, it does seem like they are quite nice. So let's take a look at what this ends up meaning. We're updating the buffs to be more equal in power and excitement. Stack for stack elemental buffs are weaker than before to avoid excessively power creeping Summoner's Rift buff ecosystem, with Dragon Souls adding new late game payout to elemental dragons. We're switching from the current front-loaded buff stacks back to a linear model. Last note, you can now get 4 stacks of an element if the enemy team gets the first 2 or 3 drakes, always different elements. Then you get the next 4, always the same element. Okay, just a balance pass. 5, 10, 15, 20%. Means that obviously getting Infernal earlier on isn't as impactful, which means that I guess there is a little bit more grace period, and it's also not as punishing if you end up losing it. Attack power and attack damage and ability power. Mountain. Extra damage to objectives was a subtle yet powerful snowballing effect that was often hard to appreciate outside of coordinated play. We're switching Mountain to a more straightforward effect all players can play around. 8%, 16, 24, okay. Oh, it's not true damage anymore. It's armor and magic resist. Oh wow, it's a tank drake. Oh, this dragon's really gross. This dragon, I think this dragon, if you're winning, is now better than Infernal. Just the way that everything plays out. Okay, and the reason for that is I feel like a lot of people don't understand this. If you're winning, you're already ahead in levels than your opponent, and your base levels have a value in terms of gold. It's not just the skill point. You're getting the base HP, you're getting all the base stats that end up leveling up with you and whatnot. If you're also winning, it's likely that you have more gold, which means that you're hitting your item breakpoints sooner than the opponent, which means that already you have more damage in that specific instance than you would typically have in a normal game where it's even at that particular time, or if you're slightly behind or something like that. So the thing about having an Infernal Dragon in those spots is, yes, you hit like a truck, but it still doesn't change the fact that if the opponent catches you out, or if they end up getting a good skirmish because, you know, some mispositioning, which I guess sounds like catching out, but what I mean by catching out is literally you face check something and die, the extra damage from Infernal doesn't end up mattering. But tankiness is a stat that is really, really, really easy to appreciate. Because even when you're behind, just being a little bit more durable allows you to take more sustained fights than you would typically be able to. It can often actually negate small advantages that the opponent might have over you, whereas Infernal, even if they still have small advantages over you, just because you hit a little bit harder doesn't actually mean the same exact thing. So the variables are gonna always have to obviously be entertained, but I think that Mountain is probably just stronger than Infernal, which is really interesting. That's really, really nice to see. But anyways, well, obviously not in every single instance, but I think this is a beautiful dragon. This is a very, very good dragon. Ocean. We're removing Ocean's mana regen to even its power out among users regardless of resource type. That gives us room to allow Ocean's healing in combat, or Ocean's healing to continue in combat, which is a buff for any user. 6/9, 12%. Missing health and mana regen per 5 seconds when you haven't taken champion turret damage within 8 seconds, to 5 to 20% scaling missing health regen per 5 seconds, mana regen removed. Okay, or missing health regen per 5. So Ocean, I think, was already actually not that good. I talked about this a lot during World streams when people would comment about Ocean Dragon and whatnot. It's really hard in pro play to be out of combat with the opponent for 8 seconds in a lot of matchups. And then the fact that it scales off of missing health and mana, even inside of laning phase, if you're only missing, if you're missing 100 mana and you're gonna restore 6% of 100 per 5 seconds because you're out of combat, how much are you actually getting inside of... So, someone in Twitch chat saying it's not out of combat. Missing health and mana regen per 5 seconds when you haven't taken... that is out of combat. But now this one works inside of combat. 5, 10, 15% missing health regen per 5 seconds. If this just actually works in combat now, this is really gross. This is really, really gross. Ocean probably just becomes what it should have became before without having this really weird gate that was imposed on itself. Obviously, this becomes a really, really strong early game dragon if you get it super early. But I guess in the later stages of the game, 10% of your missing health per 5 seconds. It's pretty gross if you get it too, actually. Oh man, is Ocean just better than Mountain? I guess it depends if Ocean is actually going to be better than Mountain. Ooh, Riot, I think actually did a really good job. There's actually a fabled, mythical item that might end up becoming actually pretty good, called Morellonomicon. I think that I'm actually personally a very big fan of it. We're pretty big fans, but nonetheless, Cloud's movement speed was powerful, but not all that exciting. We're moving the movement speed boost to Cloud's Elemental Rift, where we can support it with visuals and adding a different kind of haste to Cloud's buff, okay? 3 to 6% bonus movement speed tripled out of combat, to 10 to 40% ultimate CDR, ignoring the CDR cap. So you can have 85% cooldown reduction if you have... That's... Oh, wait, hold on. You can have... This is really big for Karthus. Actually, really big for Karthus. It's really big for a lot of champions. This is really big for so many champions. I actually love what Riot has done with all of these dragons. I really, really like what Riot did with all of these dragons. This is way more exciting and better than the previous dragons. All of these changes. They're obviously all impactful, and now you actually can't get away with just doing stuff like intentionally lane swapping super early on when there's a garbage dragon in order to get the leg up on swaps to top lane in order to accelerate early game transitions, and then also just have natural priority to Rift Herald or something. This is really, really good. What I think this ends up meaning is that Infernal has... I think Infernal's become the worst dragon. Which is a really weird thing to try to wrap your head around. But I do think that Infernal has become the worst dragon. I think even if you gave Infernal the 10%, it would only situationally be the second or third best dragon. I still don't think it would be the best at any given point. So that's a really weird thing. Elemental Drake mechanics. Drake spawn order random. The first 3 Drakes are now always 3 unique elements. All subsequent Drakes will be the same element as the third, okay? Drake spawn window. 5 minutes initial, 5 spawn respawn until 35. 5 initial, 5 respawn until one team has slain 4 dragons. Okay. Health, 3,500 plus 240. 220. Ooh, they're easier to take? Before the Rift transform... Oh, the first one's easier to take, and then the Rift transforms, and they become slightly harder. This is actually really cool. I love what they're doing so far. Elder Dragon. Up until now, Elder Dragons massively favored the team that was already ahead due to scaling with Drake stacks, and in super long games itself, we're removing that scaling to make room for power that's equally rewarding, whether you're pressing a lead or making a comeback. Elder Dragon's buff no longer increases the effects. Okay. Burn damage, 45 plus 45 per elemental Drake stack, true damage over 3 seconds to 90 to 270 true damage over 3 seconds at 25 to 45 game timer. Okay. Burning Bright, Elder Dragons, burn, okay, removed, okay, this is all fine. Execute, damaging an enemy at less than 20% health causes them to die. What? Just die, huh? Just, okay. Alright, denied. Elder Immolation can't execute enemies through invulnerability effects like Zanya's Hourglass or Undying effects like Kindra's are. This is actually really cool. I really like what they're doing. Buff duration, 150 seconds lost on death to 180 seconds still lost on death, okay? Final note about how often Elder will actually show up in games. Elder can spawn is... The earliest Elder can spawn is 26 minutes. Is Olaf actually going to be an okay champion or something? Or, like, what is Riot trying to... What is Riot trying to do here? What is... What's going on here? Alright. Plus time spent in combat with the Drakes, but in a game that's still going even or isn't seeing many objectives taken, it's also possible for Elder to never spawn. Spawn rules. Okay, 6 after one team kills their 4th elemental Drake, 6 respawn. So, Baron buff. Duration is down. Okay. Duration's now down to 3 minutes. Buff visuals for blue and red buff. I actually really like they updated this. Hand of Baron and Aspect of the Elder have all been updated. This is actually really cool. I don't have my contacts on right now, and so all of this just looks really blurry, and it's pretty hard for me to see, so... Ah, crap. Alright. Top lane influence, Rift Herald. With the increased importance of Drakes on both sides, we're spawning Rift Herald a bit earlier and letting her respawn once so teams don't completely abandon their top laners in favor of bot lane presence. You know, they're more than they already do. Rift Herald fight initial spawn 10 to 8 minutes. That is second reset for junglers, which I get, or on average it can be. Respawn is 6 minutes, so that's pretty nice. Despawn, 1930 delayed to 1950 if in combat, unchanged health. 10,000, 16,000 to 8,250 to 1650. So that's actually really cool. Attack speed 0.5 to 0.4. It's easier to take Rift Herald. Okay. Summoned Rift Herald window, 40 seconds to 20 seconds. Eye of the Herald channel, 4 seconds to 1 second. Herald level. Average level of all 10's champions determined on using Eye of the Herald picking. Okay. I like all of these changes. No, minion XP, hold on. We're very lightly adjusting minion XP to slightly equalize the influence top and bot laners have on the game. Solo laners will level about 2% faster from minions, while duo laners or solo laners will level about 2% slower. This means that freezing is actually better. See what they're doing here? Hello? What's going on here? Freezing is actually buffed if you force the opponent to share. Okay. So this is really good. Turret plating. Slightly buffing turret plating, durability to prevent group and push blowouts in the early game, especially with the Rift Herald changes in mind. Bulwark resistance 25 to 35. Armor and magic resist per third, fourth, and fifth attacker when a plate is destroyed. Okay. Doran shield. I mean, this just... like, this doesn't really do all that much. Maybe this ends up meaning that, like, on average, a team might get one less turret play across the board or something, which isn't really that impactful because turret plates are pretty even. It's not every day that you get really gross instances like G2 versus Dom 1 where 15 turret plates go down. Doran Shield, melee region increased, region, ranged region decreased. Buffing Doran Shield region to make it a stronger option in melee versus ranged matchups. Up to 40 seconds over 8 seconds when damaged by an enemy champion based on missing health, okay? 66% effective for ranged users or when triggered by AoE dot or proc effects, okay? Jungle pacing. Jungle item XP, catch-up XP. Jungle items no longer grant additional XP on a monster kill if you're behind... That actually removes a lot of skill. This also hurts a lot of junglers. This hurts a lot of junglers that can't keep... like, don't get me wrong, I really like this because it means that it hurts champions like Elise. It hurts champions like Shaco. It hurts so many champions. This is also a direct buff to champions like Nidalee, like Karthus. This is really good in that regard. But I don't like that they just outright removed it because catch-up XP is interesting and competitive, but obviously in solo queue it's really gross because it promotes a very aggressive, high volatile type of gameplay. So, yeah. Camp timers. A small camp respawn 150 seconds to 2 minutes. Small camp, if your team had vision of a small camp when it was killed, you'll see a respawn icon. Come on. Buff camp respawn timers change from gray to yellow, 20 seconds to 15 seconds, okay? Krugs, base gold is down. Base XP is down. Ancient Krugs first clear penalty removed. Okay, that's nice. Merc Wolves, also, though, this does create a little bit more diversity inside of the jungle, right? Because I believe they buffed Gromp's XP or something. But it does look like overall XP is still down inside of the jungle, which kind of sucks. But it doesn't really matter because farm junglers, with this being removed, it is going to be a nightmare to try to catch up if you actually fall behind to like Karthus or Nidalee or Rek'Sai or anything like that, especially inside of solo queue. Riot's going to have to do something because this does mean that certain junglers just actually can't keep up. Without rubber band XP, certain junglers just can't keep up. This really, really, really sucks. The other thing that this sucks about is that it removed the skill from intentionally like kiting or killing certain camps in order to make sure that you kill the big monster before proccing a level up so that you could make use of the bonus XP. But yeah, anyways. Raptors, base gold is down, so it's also going to be harder to get items? Yeah, it's going to be harder to get items, too. But that it doesn't really affect a lot. I mean, I guess that's a nerf to, like, Karthus and AP junglers, because they actually really rely on Runic Echoes, but for AD junglers, it's probably not even that impactful. even though camps do end up respawning faster. Lethality items. Dustblade of Drakthar. 80 increased, blackout removed. Total cost is unchanged. 80 is up by 5. Unchanged here. Cooldown reduction unchanged. Unique passive. After being unseen for 1 second, your next basic attack against an enemy champion within 5 seconds of being seen by an enemy champion deals 30 to 150. Bonus physical. Melee attacks slow the target by 99%. Okay. After a 0.25 delay. No longer disables enemy wards or reveal. Okay. Okay. Yumu's Ghostblade active ghost users. What? It's literally the same except for 1 quality of life buff. Still buy it if you want to go fast. Okay. Allows them to ignore unit collision. I guess that's nice. Updated Edge of Night. Spell shield. Grants a spell shield that blocks the next enemy. This shield refreshes after no damage is taken from enemy champions for 40 seconds. Okay. I guess that's nice, but the attack damage is down and the lethality is down, which is actually a pretty big nerf overall to lethality, like pure lethality building champions, but I guess Edge of Night is a really specific item that you only get against some champions. So, Sanguine Blade. Gain attack speed and lethality when near 1 or fewer enemies. Attack damage 50. This is first of our 2 new items. 3,000 gold, 10 lethality, lifesteal 15%, attack damage 50. While near 1 or fewer visible enemy champions, gain 8 lethality and 40 to 100% attack speed, decaying over 3 seconds if other enemy champions get too close. A lone enemy. So this is obviously really good for assassin lethality users, but or 2v1. Okay, so all right, Umbral Glaive, new blackout item. Oh, they added actually way more lethality items. So I guess actually maybe super late game, this is a buff if they still have sudden impact inside of the game, because rather than just having a serrated dirk fulfill the last item, this is completely fine. Second lethality edition and the new home of the blackout passive. Umbral Glaive stats aren't too high, but it's also the cheapest lethality item. Pick it up if you want to black out the enemy's map. This is why the passive is called blackout. Okay. When spotted by an enemy ward, reveal traps and disable wards around you for 8 seconds. 45-second cooldown. During this time, basic attacks instantly kill disable traps and deal triple damage to wards. So obviously that's really nice, and also it's very cheap, so it's not that bad. Serrated Dirk. Your next damaging spell no longer deals 40 bonus physical damage. This is actually a really big nerf to the lethality lane users, so that's sad. Support items. Mechanical updates. We're refreshing support items to be less poachable by solo laners and have expanded quest system that provides free automatic upgrades, letting support start the rest of their build earlier. This should also lead to more build diversity between champs that use the same starter. As a trade-off, Tribute no longer damages and Spoilers of War no longer heals, so supports will have less impact in the early lane phase. At max tier, we've removed the Tribute Spoils of War passive. Most of the gold these effects granted is still earned in the lower tiers, and passive gold per 10 is available by the free upgrades. We're also introducing 80 equivalents of the items to broaden the cast of champs who can also be played as a support. At launch, they're basically the same as AP versions, but that symmetry may break down the road as we balance each item line individually. Okay, tiers. Support items still have 3 tiers, but now upgrade automatically for what? As you complete their quests. Tier 1, 400 gold starting item. Earn gold with Tribute or Spoils of War to upgrade. Increased stats and 3 ward charges. Significantly increased stats and 4 total ward charges. Tribute or Spoils of War go away. What? Farming more than 20 CS per 5 minutes reduces gold from minions by 50%. This penalty increases. Oh, great! They're really coming at some of our solo queue supports. Once the penalty kicks in, your CS gold is reduced to 70 minus CS within 5 minutes %. Okay. Spell Thief's Edgeline, Old Tribute. Damaging spells and attacks into enemy champion or buildings grant 15 gold. Gain a charge every 10 seconds, up to 3 charges. Okay. Cost is 400 gold. Ability power 10 to 8. Now you get 10 health. What? No longer grants 25%. Mono region gold per 10. 2 unchanged. Tribute damaging. Okay, this can occur. Yeah, I just read that. Earning 500 total gold through Tribute upgrades this item to Frostfang. Okay. Health is 70. Health is 150. Ability. Why do you get this item for free? No longer grants plus 50%. No longer grants 10% cooldown reduction. Damaging spell. Placing a stealth ward holds up to 4 charges, which were. Okay. AD is 5, health is 10, so you get 5 AD, gold per 2, and then at the very... This doesn't seem very balanced, actually. Shield shoulders, steel shoulder guards... Alright, I'm not even gonna actually go through all of this. These are obviously all imbalanced. These are all legitimately not balanced. The physical flavored defensive line. So it has more health but less AD. Okay, cool. What? Like, what is this? Spoils of War. While nearby, an ally basic attacks execute minions below 50%. Yeah, and grant your ally gold. Effects recharge every 45 seconds, max 3 charges. Yeah, these are all not balanced. So, Ancient Coin line. Where Spellsy established itself as the aggressive support item line, Ancient Coin and Relic Shield overlapped and rewarding more defensive attrition. Okay. Shirelia's Reverie. Total cost is down by 200. Health is up by 100. Nothing's changed here. Health regen 100%, heal and shield power. This is a really big Ivern buff. And with the other changes that happened inside of the jungle, that's also Ivern buffs. So this is actually pretty cool. Grants you and your allies within 700 to 1,000 range 40% bonus movement speed for 3 seconds, 90-second cooldown, active range 700. All right, so it no longer has the ability power. But I think overall it's an Ivern buff. This is also, I guess, a Soraka buff. It's very select champions, but this is pretty nice. Energized and crit items. Okay, Storm Razor. Total cost is up by 100. Attack damage down by 5. Critical strike chance added 25%. Attack speed 15%. Energized damage is 70. Okay. Energized slow 40%. 75%. For 0.5 seconds. Non-decaying. No longer amplifies. Okay, this is obviously a really nice item. This is now actually a really, really nice little item. I'm assuming this is good on Jhin. I assume that this actually helps Jhin come back. I assume this is also good for Draven. I assume this is good for Quinn. I assume that this is potentially good for Graves if you end up going for crit Graves. This is potentially good for Caitlyn as well, especially in the siege scenario, but obviously Jhin and Draven are the ones that are initially standing out to me. Rapid fire cannon, energized damage, higher early, lower late, no longer increases energized charged rates. Okay, energized damage 60 to 140 to 120, that's fine. And then everything else is removed. Because when you're getting rapid fire cannon, you don't really care about the energized damage, so losing 20 off it is really not the end of the world. You're mostly getting it for the utility and the passive that it grants. Static Shiv, energized damage, higher early, lower late, lightning bounces increase, lightning no longer crits, okay? Shiv, lightning bounces 5 to 7, okay? The Shard, energized damage 50 to 80, so it's actually a lot stronger early on, so obviously this is impactful in very select matchups, especially for allowing you to accelerate in the early to mid transition. Brawler's Gloves, goodbye. Cloak of Agility, crit chance increased is a really nice thing, because I think there's actually some instances where you buy Cloak of Agility instead of Pickaxe on select champions. Crit increased, attack speed decreased, build path updated, cost increased. So Zeal is up to 1400. Crit chance is up by 10. Attack speed is down by 3. I think this is a completely fine trade. Usually when you're looking at Zeal, the really good thing on Zeal is the movement speed. You already have a dagger, so it doesn't really matter that much here, and just getting the extra 10% crit chance I think is completely fine. And all that it costs you is an extra 1 wave, depending on how long it takes you to recall and get to Fountain. Removes ZZ Rot, Portal Spear of Sojin, Ohm Wrecker, and Raptor Cloak. Okay, Runes, Kleptomancy, removed. Prototype, Omnistone. Periodically gain a single use of another random keystone. Okay. Periodically gain a single use of another random keystone. Once a keystone is rolled, it can't be rolled again until only 3 options are left, at which point the table resets. You won't get the keystone. Cooldown, gain a new keystone 8 to 4 seconds. Melee 1 to 18, or 12 to 8 seconds ranged after using the last. Scaling is weighted toward later levels. Get a new keystone while auto-combat after 40 seconds of not using a keystone. Okay? Current keystone shows up to the right of your health bar. All 10 players can see it. Dark Harvest Souls persist after you get a different keystone and affect all your other keystone. Ghastly Undyre, health persists. So This only actually matters for champions that don't have real runes. So, like, maybe Ezreal? Maybe Ezreal actually uses this. Maybe Annie uses this. Like, anyone that doesn't have their own actual keystone can use this. I'm just trying to think of other champions that don't really have a keystone. I think the rune's actually bad. I'm thinking of so many champions, and I can't really think of one that would actually want to use this, especially because, like, some champions that don't really have a keystone, like, outside of, like, Kleptomancy, like MF or something, they still wouldn't want to use this. Gangplank just would want to use Grasp of the Undying, so I don't know. Conqueror, true damage, conversion, removed healing is now post-mitigation, max stacks increased, melee champions now gain double stacks. Ranged stacks no longer expire faster. Okay. At full stacks, Conqueror heals for 15% of post-mitigation damage against champions. Used to be 8% pre. Maximum stacks 5 to 10, okay? Stacks 1 per ability hit or basic attack, 2 per ability hit or basic attack, 1 per ranged basic attack. Stack duration 8 seconds, 3 seconds for ranged to 8 seconds for everyone. Adaptive force per stack. 2 to 6, and now it's 2 to 5. Max adaptive force, 10 to 30 to 20 to 50. Okay, that's obviously alright. Alright, well. Aftershock, flat resistances decreased, percentage bonus resistances increased, flat damage decreased early, damage now scales with bonus health rather than max health. Cooldown decreased. Resistances, 70 plus 50% bonus resistances to 35 plus 80% bonus resistances. Okay, damage 10 to 120. The damage is up, plus 8% bonus health instead of 4% max health. So that's okay. Aftershock resistance no longer lasts for slightly longer than intended. Cooldown is lowered. Okay. Presence of Mind increases mana or energy pool on takedowns instead of refunding ult cooldown. Now restores energy in addition to mana. Now restores energy in addition to mana. Okay, that's interesting. Restores 20% of your maximum mana and refund 10% of your ultimate's cooldown to restores 20% of your maximum mana or energy and increases your maximum mana by 100 or your That's really big. That's really big. Is this actually big for, like, Rise, or I guess this is actually a math question. This is where we're gonna have to go over to, like, Freak's patch rundown. You'd have to go over to Freak's patch rundown to look at this. This is really big for Kassadin. Obviously, just out the gate, getting the restore on the maximum mana is really big. Really big nerf, though, to Karthus. He doesn't get the presence of mind, so he's losing some of the refund, but that's okay. Because we still have Ultimate Hunter, and then as long as you just roll one Cloud Dragon, everything ends up being fine. So, okay, Nimbus Cloak. Procs off summoner spells instead of ults. On summoner spell cast, 15 to 35% movement speed for 2.5 seconds, depending on summoner spell cooldown. Long cooldown, 35 seconds. Okay. Nimbus Cloak on summoner spell cast. So, it works on Smite. Return Nimbus Cloak into Cloud Dragon's soul, so we're changing Nimbus Cloak to work off summoner spells instead. Speed boost. So this is a really big buff. This is actually just a massive buff for anyone that uses, like, Airy inside of the jungle, or someone that wants to go sorcery second. This is super massive. This is also really, really, really big for champions like Darius inside of lane. So I think that's actually all really, really good. Okay, champion. Senna no longer gains double stacks on ARAM. That's fine. Twisted Tree Line Sunset. Goodbye. Actually feels like a funeral. Essence Emporium returns for preseason, November 25 to December 10. Spend your blue Essence. Okay, bug fixes, skins and chromas. As always, guys, let's talk about the skins and chromas. Pulsefire Thresh. Let's take a look at him. It kind of looks like Dr. Manhattan before he re-gets his physical form or something. Doesn't seem like there's actually an Easter egg or anything. But if you've been to my stream before, you know what it's really all about. It's about letting your opponents know. And what better way to let them know than to have the Prestige Edition skin? This is not an advertisement, nor endorsed, by just trying to get you to spend your money here. But if you really want to let your opponents know and you're a Thresh player in Silver, in which case all of your teammates hate you, or you come to my stream, send me an OPGG, and you're also a Thresh main, and I tell you to go and play mid lane because for some reason you say that your Thresh is really good, but after 180 games couldn't help you climb out of gold, don't worry about it. I'm going to tell you to get back into gold with Thresh, with this skin, so that you can let your opponents know exactly what's going on. Victorious Atrox. I guess this is what he looked like before he lost or something. This actually kind of looks like Nightmare. This looks like Nightmare from Soul Calibur. This actually looks like a heroic version of Nightmare from Soul Calibur. So let's recap. Ocean, then Cloud, then Mountain, then Infernal for the map terrain change is the order of what is better, probably in the majority of cases. This is really cool. The Dragon Souls are obviously really cool as well. Infernal Dragon has interestingly become, I think, the worst dragon. I think that now the best dragon is probably Ocean or Mountain, and then after that Cloud, and then after that Infernal. Elemental Drake mechanics, obviously I really like them. Baron buff, I think that change is completely fine. Rift Herald change I think is really good. Farming junglers are a lot better. Freezing is also a lot better. This actually really buffed freezing in the early to mid transition and mid to late transition for competitive. Turret plating doesn't really matter all that much. Doran shield change, okay. Jungle pacing, I really am sad about the jungle XP being removed, but there's a lot of junglers that got indirect buffs from all of this, and obviously farm junglers are buffed a lot. Lethality items being changed up, we'll have to see what that ends up bringing, but there's not a lot of lethality users in the current game right now, but Jhin did see indirect buffs this patch, so maybe Jhin could end up coming back. The support item changes are absolutely all busted. It means that they come online a lot earlier than before, which means that better bot lane is going to be even more important here. I do like the changes to all of the crit items and the removal of everything else. I think that the Omnistone is a complete joke, and then all the other changes don't really matter all that much except for Presence of Mind and Nimbus Cloak. And that's pretty much it. So, for competitive, I think that what this ends up doing is it makes scaling champions even better. Overall, it makes scaling champions better. You do still have to... It does mean that early game champions get a little bit more power, I guess, because of the way that the dragons are going to work and the way that they can force a hand. The fact that all of the dragons are actually somewhat worthwhile, but obviously depending on certain team composition, some of them should be able to actually be neglected by certain teams in favor of getting other edges over the opponents. So in that regard, it's not super big. But overall, I do think that scaling is probably better than it was previously, and we'll have to see what patch 9.24 has in store for us, and I think that is pretty much it.